Well, look, yesterday it would have been more appropriate if David Lammy, the Justice Secretary, had turned up to Parliament wearing a bright red nose and a big pair of clown shoes than having to nick a poppy off a veteran sat behind him in the House of Commons. This is a total and utter shambles. You've got, for the second time, no, the third time now in 2 weeks, convicted criminals being let out of our prisons accidentally. And now you've got the Metropolitan Police and Surrey Police having to waste precious resources on manhunts because of massive failures by David Lammy and the Ministry of Justice.
Unfortunately, though, this is nothing new, is it? I mean, it was happening under your government. I mean, you hear this government say that, don't you? I mean, back in 2022, 54 prisoners were released in error. 2023, 71 prisoners were released in error. 2024, 87 prisoners released in error. More and more every year. So this is nothing new, and this was happening under your watch too.
No, this is a new issue. Look, don't get me wrong. Every single criminal who is released accidentally out of our prisons is unacceptable. I don't want to see a single criminal released in this way. But something is going badly wrong, that the numbers are rising dramatically. Over the last 10 years, it's averaged about 50 criminals being released from our prisons every year. Last year, 262. It was a 130% increase in a single year. So this has been a bad issue for a long time, but it's got much, much worse under this Labour government. Why? Well, I don't have all the answers, but it seems to me that the Labour government's decision to create this early release scheme, this get out of jail free card for criminals, which has been poorly planned, disastrously executed, has led to a massive failure within the system, so that criminals are now being released left, right and centre when they should never have been. And what we've got to do now is get a grip on this. I want to see David Lammy come forward and reassure us that there are checks being put in place that will ensure this doesn't happen. Because we can't have dangerous sex offenders on the streets of our country and the police having to rally around trying to find them. This man has got to be found and he's got to be deported as quickly as possible and the root cause of the problem addressed. So we don't wake up tomorrow and find that it's happened somewhere else at another prison and there's another dangerous sex offender out on the streets of someone's community.
Well, you talk about sex offenders being released and I mean, these two from the last couple of weeks who are due to be deported, which sort of adds more salt into the wound, if you like. But we're also hearing, it's in the Telegraph, I think, this morning, about this Home Office whistleblower saying we're allowing sex offenders to claim asylum in this country.
Yeah, look, it's completely insane. We should never be allowing this to happen. My view is very clear. If you come here illegally, you should never be able to claim asylum at all. And every single person who breaks into our country on a small boat or the back of a lorry or whatever should be detained and deported. And we should get rid of all of those human rights laws that have created the merry-go-round of fake claims that we've seen in recent years. Leave the European Convention on Human Rights, you name it. Fix this problem once and for all. That's why I resigned from the last Conservative government, because I was sick to my back teeth of politicians making promises, stop the boat, smash the gangs, and not keeping them. We can't allow this to continue because it's having such serious consequences for the British people. The pressure on public services, the billions of pounds that's being wasted, the hotels that are wrecking communities, and even more seriously, the crimes that are now being committed by some of these people who've come here illegally. Just look at the testimony we heard this week from the family and the victim in Epping. It's absolutely heartbreaking.
But forgive me, I mean, it's one thing to say, I mean, look, you're in a better position than most in the Shadow Cabinet because you did resign over this very issue when you were Immigration Minister. However, if the last government couldn't actually deliver when it comes to this issue, and if the current government can't deliver, what makes you think that a Conservative government under Kemi Badenoch can deliver on this difficult issue? What's changed?
A VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Well, look, I think we have to be painfully honest about the mistakes that were made. It is why I resigned, because I wasn't willing to be a party to it. The Conservative Party's got to show that it's changed. It will never be a party of open borders again. We've set out policies now which are much, much tougher. The things I've been advocating for years, like leaving the ECHR, like detaining and deporting absolutely everyone who comes here, like a legally binding cap set by Parliament on legal migration and setting that as low as possible. Well, I'm advocating, as is the Conservative Party, for net emigration, which means more people leave every year than come in, so we can give the country breathing space. This is what we need to finally get a grip on these challenges.
This whistleblower is also talking about incentives being offered to Home Office staff for approval rates. So there's this pressure, obviously, to ease the asylum backlog, which means that people are being fast-tracked with very little scrutiny. So how do we balance wanting to clear the asylum backlog, which we all want to happen, without waving through potentially dangerous people?
Well, look, the system has been very inefficient, so it's right that you put in place the normal management processes that you'd expect for it to be well run. But the heart of this issue is you shouldn't be claiming asylum at all if you've broken into the country illegally. So look, you can debate how you make the system work, in a more efficient manner, how you house people, is it in hotels, is it in HMOs at the end of your street, or you can get to the nub of the issue, which is that if you come here illegally, you will be detained and deported. And then you won't be putting in an asylum claim at all. You'll just be out, back to your own country or back to a safe country like Rwanda, somewhere else in the world. That is the system that I advocate. That's the system that we need now as a country. And we've got to get that as soon as possible, because this issue is causing immense harm to our country right now. And every day that Keir Starmer delays and obfuscates, pretends that you don't need to take radical steps, it's just more damage, more people coming in illegally, more cost to the British taxpayer, and frankly, more lives being wrecked by these crimes that we're now seeing, particularly sexual offences, rapes, sexual assaults. And I don't want to see the British public subjected to that for a day longer than is necessary. That's why I've always said that the small boats crisis is actually a national security crisis. We've got to bring this to an end.
A lot of people would agree with you, but I also suspect, I have no data on it, but the general sense you get, and you know what it's like up and down the country, who are they going to believe? Who are people going to trust at the ballot box to deal with the immigration issue? You've got to think, haven't you? It's more likely to be Nigel Farage than Kemi Badenoch.
Well, look, I have respect for Nigel. I know him well. I think he speaks for millions of people on these issues. What the Conservative Party has got to do, however, is show that it's changed fundamentally. that it will never make the mistakes that it did in the past, and bring forward serious answers to these challenges, setting out very clearly how we will secure our borders, how we will get rid of those outdated human rights laws, and how we will bring down legal migration to give the country the breathing space, ensure that you can get access to the housing, the doctors, the dentists, you name it, that you need, and how we can make our country more united again. Because one of the things that I've been speaking about, and sometimes am criticised by parts of the media for saying this, is our country feels very divided right now. And that's a product of so many people coming in such a short period of time. Mass migration has torn it, has wrecked our sense of national identity. And that's why we've got to get this under control now, once and for all.
OK, Robert Jenrick, Shadow Justice Secretary, thank you very much for joining us this morning on Breakfast.
Thank you.